Have you ever been absolutely certain about a memory, only to find out it was completely wrong? Not just slightly off, but collectively wrong, shared by thousands or even millions of people. Imagine remembering a famous line from a movie word for word, only to discover it was never said that way. Or picturing a brand logo exactly as you've always known it, except that version never existed. This strange and unsettling phenomenon is known as the Mandela Effect, and once you start noticing it, it can feel like reality itself is slipping through your fingers. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. The Mandela Effect gets its name from a widespread false memory involving Nelson Mandela. For years, many people believed that Mandela died in prison during the 1980s. Some even claim to remember news coverage, funeral scenes, and speeches, but in reality, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and went on to become the president of South Africa, living until 2013. This shared false memory puzzled people so much that it sparked a deeper investigation into how and why so many individuals could remember something that never happened. And that's where things get really interesting. At its core, the Mandela Effect refers to a situation where a large group of people share the same incorrect memory. It's not just one person misremembering, it's a collective experience, and these examples are everywhere. One of the most famous is the children's book series many people recall as the Berenstain Bears. If you're one of them, you might be surprised to learn that the actual spelling has always been the Berenstain Bears. That tiny difference has left countless readers scratching their heads, wondering how they could all remember it the same wrong way. Another classic example involves the iconic movie line from Star Wars. Many fans confidently quote Darth Vader as saying, "Luke, I am your father." But if you go back and watch the film, the actual line is, "No, I am your father." The version people remember feels more natural, more complete, but it was never spoken that way. These small discrepancies might seem harmless, but when you start stacking them up, they raise a bigger question. Why do so many people share the same false memories? One explanation lies in how human memory works. Contrary to what we might believe, memory isn't a perfect recording of events. It's reconstructive, meaning our brains piece together memories based on fragments, expectations, and prior knowledge. Over time, details can shift, blur, or even be replaced entirely. When enough people are exposed to similar influences like media, conversations, or cultural references, they can end up forming nearly identical false memories. In other words, the Mandela effect may simply be a byproduct of how our brains naturally process and store information. Another contributing factor is suggestion. When people hear a version of something repeatedly, even if it's incorrect, it can start to feel true. Think about how often you've heard "Luke, I am your father" in pop culture, parodies, and memes. That repeated exposure reinforces the false memory, making it more believable than the original. Our brains prioritize familiarity, so the more we hear something, the more likely we are to accept it as fact. But not everyone is satisfied with psychological explanations. Some people believe the Mandela effect points to something far more mysterious. One popular theory suggests that these shared false memories are evidence of parallel universes or alternate realities. According to this idea, slight differences between realities could cause overlaps where memories from one timeline bleed into another. It sounds like science fiction, but for those who experience the Mandela Effect, the feeling can be eerily convincing. Another theory involves the concept of simulation, the idea that reality itself might not be real, but instead a kind of advanced computer program. If that were true, then glitches or changes in the code could potentially alter details of our world, leaving behind traces in our memories. While there's no scientific evidence to support this theory, it continues to capture the imagination of people who find the Mandela Effect too strange to be explained by simple memory errors. There are also examples involving logos and brand names that seem to change in subtle ways. Some people remember the Monopoly man wearing a monocle even though he never has. Others insist that the Fruit of the Loom logo once included a cornucopia, despite there being no official record of it. These visual memories can feel especially strong because we often trust our eyes more than our ears. When those memories don't match reality, it creates a sense of confusion that's hard to ignore. So, what's really going on? Is the Mandela Effect just a trick of the mind, or is it something deeper? Most scientists lean toward cognitive explanations, pointing to memory distortion, social reinforcement, and pattern recognition as the main causes. Our brains are constantly trying to make sense of the world, filling in gaps and smoothing out inconsistencies. Sometimes that process leads us slightly off track. But when it happens to many people at once, it feels far more significant. And perhaps that's the most unsettling part. If something as simple as a book title or movie line can be remembered incorrectly by millions of people, what else might we be getting wrong? How much of what we believe to be true is actually shaped by suggestion, repetition, or collective misunderstanding? The next time you confidently recall a detail from your past, you might pause and wonder, is that memory real, or is it just another Mandela Effect? Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.